We also talked about the Life Sciences and Biotech Bill. Again, a billion-dollar piece of legislation over the next 10 years that will allow Massachusetts to grow its leadership position in the life sciences and biotech industry. And why is that important? Because even in this economic downturn, that is a sector that has continued to add jobs. And for people, individuals and families who are who have family members who are afflicted with any number of illnesses, it's important for them too. So it's hope, and the research is taking place. So not only is this something that creates jobs and opportunity, but it's also hope for people. The Life Sciences and Biotech Bill. The governor said 30 plus years ago, people in our institutions of higher learning, our research, our medical delivery system, and the private sector said, let's invest in this fledgling industry called life sciences and biotech. Now we're the world leader. The governor said, let's take those same principles around the clean energy sector. We've got intellectual capital, we've got research facilities, we've got venture capitalists. So let's invest in this clean energy, green job sector. Working with the legislature. Passed 5 pieces of legislation to help create that cluster. As the governor said at the State of the Commonwealth address, the numbers of clean energy, green jobs companies have I think, doubled or tripled. And the number of employees, and again, that's also a sector that's added jobs in this economic downturn. 10 bond bills we've passed in the last 3 years. Now, what are the bond bills? Well, it's a higher ed bond bill, allowing us to address our 29 state colleges, community colleges, build new facilities. We've got labs that are 30 and 40 years old. How do those biology majors, chemistry majors, nursing majors who work in those facilities then go work at the state-of-the-art hospital, at Genzyme, or at Abbott Labs? So we're investing in our community colleges, state colleges, and universities. We'll talk about the labs, but just Salem State. They had to close the library at Salem State because it was literally falling down. UMass Boston, they had to close the garage because it was falling down. People haven't been investing in that. An environmental bond bill. Investing $1 billion plus in our state parks, beaches, open space, campgrounds, which are important to our quality of life in our cities and towns, but also a big part of our travel and tourism industry. Environmental bond bill, a housing bond bill, investing in our public housing, investing with private developers that make a percentage of their units affordable. Housing bond bill, so we have more workforce housing in the pipeline. A transportation bond bill. Road, rail, and bridges. We invested in an accelerated bridge program because we have 600 structurally deficient bridges across the state. Many of them unsafe and all of them in a state of disrepair. And I'm going to get to how and why that happened in a minute, because that's what this campaign is going to be about. It's going to be about the accelerated bridge program. A part of the Life Sciences and Biotech Bill was a bond bill, so it allows us to build infrastructure in those areas. Broadband. We've got sections of the state, communities that don't have broadband internet access. Think about that. How do businesses, large and small, in those communities function in today's world without broadband? How do institutions of learning, public libraries and schools function today? Nearly 70 communities with little or no broadband internet access. Municipalities, how do they function today without? So we passed a bond bill that invests in that. So 10 bond bills, and we did this in cooperation with the legislature, and done in a way that we can afford, with the imprimatur of Wall Street bond rating agencies, who allowed us to refinance the state's debt at a lower interest rate, and then reprogram that money back into infrastructure. Because when bond rating companies evaluate you, and the mayor knows, they look at, okay, how much you got coming in, what are your obligations, but they look at your infrastructure. And so we've done it in a fiscally responsible way, and in each one of these bond bills talk to the different reps and senators about what are the priority issues in your particular district that you would like included in these bond bills. Education, I talked about the education reform bill. The other thing we did, which every governor dating back to Mike Dukakis has attempted to do, Dukakis, Weld, Cellucci, Romney, and Swift, they've all attempted to create a Secretary of Education that has some authority and control over our educational system. We have elementary and early education and care, preschool, daycare, all those types of functions. You've got elementary and secondary education, you've got higher ed. These things can't be operating in their own orbit. We need to have a continuum, and they need to complement each other and support each other. So we've got a Secretary of Education, again, passed with almost unanimous support from the House and Senate, and Republicans. Did that. We've got a Secretary of Education that's helping bring some coordination and focus in that area. So a lot of things. Marriage equality. What do we do? Pension reform. We just talked about it, right? People have been talking about that for decades.